You think you're building security, you're building distance, and one day you'll wake up successful and alone. That's the part nobody warns you about. You believe sacrifice now will create happiness later, but later has a cost, and sometimes that cost is your family. I built an empire from nothing, long nights, relentless focus, calculated risks. People respected me. They feared me. They depended on me. But the people I love slowly stopped knowing me. Here's the harsh truth. Most ambitious people avoid. You can win in business and fail at home, and society will still applaud you. They will call you driven, disciplined, focused. They won't see your son waiting at the window. They won't see your wife eating dinner alone. They won't hear the silence that grows in your house. You will, eventually, but by then it may be too late. The first painful lesson is about priorities. You don't reveal your priorities by what you say. You reveal them by what you repeatedly choose. You said family mattered most, but you chose meetings. You chose expansion. You chose the next deal. You missed birthdays because this quarter is critical. You skipped vacations because the timing isn't right. There is never a right time to pause ambition. There is only willingness. Most people fail here because success feeds the ego. Every achievement validates you. Every financial milestone feels like progress. At home, progress is quieter. It's conversation, presence, listening without checking your phone. That doesn't give you applause, so you drift toward the arena that does. You must change how you define winning. If your child hesitates to call you, you are not winning. If your partner feels like a secondary priority, you are not winning. If your house feels like a hotel, you are not winning. Empire without intimacy is just a polished prison. The second lesson is about identity. You tied your worth to performance, revenue, growth, influence. You walk into a room and people straighten their posture. They value your opinion. You feel powerful. At home, your authority doesn't impress anyone. Your child doesn't care about your net worth. Your spouse doesn't need your strategy. They need you. Unfiltered, unimpressive, human. But that version of you feels unfamiliar because you trained yourself to perform. Most driven people fail in relationships because they don't know how to turn off their dominance. They negotiate instead of listen. They instruct instead of connect. They solve instead of feel. You must learn that vulnerability is not weakness. It is intimacy. If you cannot say, I'm scared or I don't know, your family will eventually stop trying to reach you. They will adapt to your absence, and adaptation feels like peace, but it's distance. The third lesson is about money. Money amplifies your tendencies. If you were avoidant before wealth, you become unreachable after it. If you were insecure before power, you become controlling after it. I told myself I was doing it for them, for their future, for their comfort. But comfort without connection feels hollow. You can buy a larger house. You cannot buy childhood back. You can fund education. You cannot fund lost years of guidance. Most people fail because they believe money compensates for absence. It doesn't. It just decorates it. You must stop confusing providing with parenting. Providing is financial. Parenting is emotional. They are not interchangeable. The fourth lesson is about time. Time is not equal across relationships. In business, delayed attention can be repaired. In family, neglected moments expire. Your son is only 8 once. Your daughter only asks you to play so many times before she stops asking. Your partner only tries to reconnect for so long before giving up. You assume loyalty is permanent. It isn't. It erodes, slowly, quietly, through repeated non-choice. You didn't choose your work over them once. You chose it hundreds of times. That repetition builds a message. I am busy. I am important. You can wait. Eventually they stop waiting. Most people fail because they believe love is automatic. It isn't. Love is maintained through attention. Attention is the currency of relationships, and you spent yours elsewhere. The fifth lesson is about power. Power feels intoxicating. You control outcomes. You influence markets. You command rooms. At home, power is irrelevant. In fact, it can be destructive. If you bring dominance into intimacy, you create fear, not connection. Your family does not need your authority. They need your humility. But humility is difficult when the world constantly affirms you. You must separate who you are at work from who you are at home. If you don't, you will become a stranger in your own house. Now let me make you uncomfortable. You enjoy being needed at work more than being needed at home, because at work, need feels like respect. At home, need feels like responsibility, and responsibility without applause feels heavy. So you unconsciously choose the environment that feeds your ego. You say it's for them, but part of it is for you. You like the recognition. You like the status. You like being the one people depend on. There is nothing wrong with ambition, but ambition without boundaries becomes addiction, and addiction always demands more. More hours, more attention, more sacrifice. It rarely asks what it is taking from you. You wake up one day in a hospital bed, machines humming, silence in the room, your empire running without you, your phone still buzzing, but your family distant. Polite, formal, they visit, they stand by the bed, they ask about your health, but the warmth is gone. That is the cost of delayed presence. You cannot rebuild emotional history in your final weeks. You cannot fast forward intimacy. It is built slowly, or not at all. Most people fail because they believe there will be a moment when things slow down. There won't. Expansion never finishes. Goals never complete themselves. There is always another milestone, another acquisition, another opportunity. You must create your own limits. If you don't, the world will gladly consume your time. Ask yourself something difficult. If your business collapsed tomorrow, who would stay? If your wealth disappeared, who would remain close? If the answer makes you uneasy, that unease is truth. You are replaceable at work. You are not replaceable at home. But you behaved as if the opposite were true. I did, and now I see the pattern clearly. I trained my family to live without me. I taught them not to depend on my presence. I normalized absence. That lesson is hard to undo. You must redefine strength. Strength is not endurance of long hours. It is the courage to step away when enough is enough. Strength is saying no to growth that costs your integrity. Strength is leaving the office early without guilt. Strength is sitting at the dinner table without checking notifications. These actions seem small. They are not. They signal value. Value shapes trust. Trust builds intimacy. Intimacy builds loyalty. Not fear, not admiration. Loyalty. There is another uncomfortable truth. Some of you hide in work because home is complicated. You say you are building wealth, but you are avoiding conflict, avoiding emotional conversations, avoiding vulnerability. Work feels predictable. Family feels unpredictable. So you choose predictability. That avoidance creates the very distance you fear. If you don't learn to navigate emotional discomfort, success will isolate you. You will have influence, but no one who truly understands you. You will have control, but no one who challenges you. Honestly, you will have wealth, but no one who feels safe enough to be real with you. That is loneliness at the highest level. Loneliness surrounded by success. You must ask yourself what kind of legacy you want. Financial legacy is measurable. Emotional legacy is invisible. But emotional legacy determines how you are remembered. Will your children describe you as present or as powerful? Will your partner remember conversations or absences? Will your name bring warmth or formality? This is not about quitting ambition. It is about integrating it. If your ambition demands your entire identity, it is too expensive. You are more than your revenue, more than your title, more than your status. But if you do not cultivate that more, you will not know who you are when work ends. And work always ends. Retirement, illness, death, the board replaces you. The market adapts. The world moves on. Your family, however, carries the emotional imprint of your presence or absence. That imprint lasts generations. I am not asking you to feel guilty. Guilt is temporary. Awareness is lasting. Look at your calendar. Count the hours spent nurturing profit. Then count the hours spent nurturing connection. The imbalance tells the truth. You cannot outsource fatherhood. You cannot delegate intimacy. You cannot automate presence. These require you, not your money, not your assistant, you. And you are running out of time faster than you think. Middle age creates an illusion of distance from the end. There isn't as much distance as you assume. Years compress, children grow, parents die, bodies weaken, and you suddenly realize how quickly decades passed. Do not wait for illness to clarify what matters. Clarity without crisis is maturity. If you need a hospital bed to see what you ignored, you waited too long. I built an empire. People will remember the buildings, the contracts, the numbers. But when I close my eyes, I don't see balance sheets. I see empty chairs at dinner. I see moments I postponed. I see a son who stopped asking me to come watch him play. I see a wife who learned to be strong without me. That is the real accounting, and that ledger cannot be revised. You still have time, not infinite time, but enough to correct direction, enough to sit longer, enough to listen deeper, enough to step back from expansion that costs too much. Do not misunderstand me. Build, create, lead, but not at the cost of your own humanity. Do not sacrifice the irreplaceable for the impressive, because when your final days arrive, the empire will continue without you, but the relationships you neglected may not return to you. And in that silence, you will understand something brutal. You can rebuild wealth. You cannot rebuild lost years. And when you finally realize that, the confession will be yours. Not mine,